The 1960s, 1970s brought some of the music of the world's greatest talent together. Among them, the Supremes, who would go on to become the most commercially successful of Motown's acts with some 12 number one singles. It was Motown's intention to disband the Supremes back in 1977. However, Mary Wilson, former Supreme, decided that no, that wasn't going to be, mainly because of the success of an album in the UK. It was called The Supremes' Greatest Hits. Kaaren Ragland was hired by Mary Wilson for a series of concert tours right around the world, and that's where my next guest comes into the picture. Fast forward to 1989, she's formed her own group called The Sounds of the Supremes, and Kaaren joins me right now. Kaaren, nice to have you with us on the program.
Oh, thank you. Great to be here.
You were just saying you're up there in Queensland at the moment. It's boiling hot, much the same down here in Melbourne, so I just hope by the time you do get here, it's cooler. That's all I could say. we hope so. Whereabouts in the States are you, or where do you live?
In the Los Angeles area.
Okay.
Yeah.
We were over there last year. We had a stay in America for about a month, and we're in LA.
Oh.
We did lots of things. We loved it. Loved New York.
Oh, I love New York, too. I do.
It's
I lived there shortly, but only in rehearsals.
Yeah, okay. Tell me about the Supremes. Now, it was Mary who got together with yourself and invited you to go and do world tours as the Supremes. Tell us how it came about.
Well, it was funny. I was singing with a fellow who was a wonderful arranger who had done arrangements for the Supremes in Las Vegas. He used to do arrangements for Dorothy Dandridge and all these famous older acts. And Marilyn Monroe and all kinds of people in Hollywood. And I was singing at a club called the Improvisation, which really featured comics. But they'd have a singer on and then three comics, famous comics like Jay Leno, et cetera, and Robin Williams and all that. So he did these arrangements for the Supremes, and they were looking for a replacement, and he suggested me, and that's how I joined.
Isn't that beautiful? Yeah, a great story. and of course, then the success went on because you went on to form your own group, which is now touring here in Australia, The Sounds of the Supremes. How did that one come about? Tell me.
Well, the original Supremes both wanted to do, well, Diana for years had been a solo act, but fairly enough, Mary wanted to do a solo situation. So there were people who still wanted to book a group and hear all the group tunes, and we decided to keep on with it as the former youngest members. And then I've hung in there, and the two ladies that I'm working with now, we've been together since 1997. It's wonderful.
There's something about the harmonies of the Supremes. It's absolutely beautiful harmonies.
Yeah.
It just great stuff, isn't it? But they had that.
It is.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, it really is. But the thing is that, the original tunes, the girls were quite young. So there's mostly two-part harmony, and we do mostly three-part harmony. So we've enhanced it a bit and made the sound a bit bigger.
Because they were originally called something else, the Primettes, weren't they?
The Primettes.
The Primettes, yes. And that dates back to, the late 1950s, wasn't it?
Yeah, they started in high school in the late 50s.
Have you noticed in your travels, and I interview so many people and ask this question, that a lot of the young people are honing in on these wonderful acts of the 1960s and 70s these days?
Oh, yeah. And it's amazing because some of the kids, I'm wondering, wow, how do you know all these songs? And they know every lyric. They come to the concerts, they sing every lyric, they dance with us because it's a dancing show. I mean, we move all the time. And it's great fun. It's great fun.
You got a favourite song?
Oh, that's so hard. That's so unfair. I was like, who's your favorite baby?
Yeah.
No. Well, I love Someday We'll Be Together. I just love that tune.
I love Baby Love. I think Baby Love's a great song. I don't know why, but I just like it. It's one of those things.
It's a good tune. It's a good tune, but it's so funny. In Asia, they were calling it Baby Talk.
Oh, really?
All the posters said Baby Talk. It was
Baby
hilarious.
Talk. Oh, goodness. Tell me.
Same thing. They love the song.
Yeah. Look, there are so many songs from the Supremes. How did you go about selecting the ones to put into your concert?
Well, it's difficult. We're over here now just doing sort of an appetizer thing, 20, 30 minutes, really difficult. But when we do our 2-hour concert, we try to do all the major hits. As you said, 12 number ones, about 20, at least 20 top tens.
Yeah.
And it's an enormous amount of material. And I like a lot of the 70s stuff, like Up the Ladder to the Roof. I think that was featured recently. I forget the series. It was a Baz Luhrmann series on TV in the States. And that was a featured song, Up the Ladder to the Roof. So, I mean, the music lives on.
It does indeed, and there's so many movies that are taking music, as you've just described there too, as theme music from the 60s and 70s, and it's just alive today as what it was, and it's just gorgeous. What was it like working with Mary Wilson?
It was great. When I started, I was a little in awe because, you know, I was a fan of the Supremes. And, I mean, I loved all the groups over it. I loved the Marvelettes. I loved Martha and the Vandellas. I loved all that music. So, but she was very welcoming, and you know, she's a different generation slightly, but I learned a lot and grew a lot, as you do when you tour that way. And when we were touring, I guess it was Mushroom Records. Evan Skadinsky brought us over for that first tour I did here in Australia in 1978.
As well as your singing, you've done a lot of stage work too. One of those stage works was Little Shop of Horrors.
I did do Little Shop of Horrors in
That must
Los
have been
Angeles.
fun, eh? Bit of fun?
Oh, it was hilarious. I had so much fun. It's such a funny show.
And I was reading about you too, that you did some Shakespeare work with the National Shakespeare Company.
Because I went to acting school too, a School of Fine Arts at Boston University. And while I was there, I would take classes in the music department as well as the drama department. You sort of have to do everything. And flew down to New York and auditioned for National Shakespeare and became their ingenue for a year. And that was quite fun, you know, challenging. And it's just all a learning experience, isn't it?
Well, when I read that, I thought, well, this is quite a contrast. You've gone from Shakespeare to the Supremes.
to rock and roll.
There must be some connection.
You think that's something? You should see when my mother's eyebrows raised. Shakespeare to rock and roll.
Does your mum sit there in the audience at times and say, "There's my
She
daughter"?
did.
She's
Oh,
in Australia.
really? Yeah.
Good.
No. Sadly, my mom has now passed away,
Oh,
but she
sadly.
did come over here in when was it? 91. She came over and toured with us for a month. She was at every show. I said, "Mom, you don't have to come all the time," and she just loved it. She loved it.
She became your roadie.
Oh.
Setting up the mics.
She got more attention than we did.
I bet you did. How do you find the Australian audiences? They love you?
Wonderful. Australian audiences remind me a lot of American audiences. They just are so loose, and they let it rip. If they like it, you know, they're into it. The ladies get up and dance. I love that.
Yeah, they do. They get up there in the aisles and they dance. They'll come down towards the front of the stage and try and get a little handshake.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all of those things.
Absolutely.
You're doing promotional tour right now, but you're coming back in March, of course, to do an Australia-wide tour. You're going to be here in Melbourne at the Palms at Crown. That's on Saturday, the 23rd of March. It's a great venue. You'll love it there. March 23rd, Palms at Crown. The booking number is 136100. What else is planned for this week for you?
Well, we come down to Melbourne to do a gig, and we go to Adelaide and Perth, and then home for a minute.
So you got a couple of weeks back home, then you're back to Oz and enjoy our lovely heat once again.
Absolutely.
It's been a delight to talk to you, Kaaren. Thank you very, very much for your time today. Wish you well with the sounds of the Supremes. I know it's going to be a great tour for you, and all the theatres are air-conditioned.
Thank you very much.
You take a lot of care. See you later.
Okay.
Bye-bye to you.